Hi, this is Angie Hernandez, certified hypnotherapist, coming to you from IndianaHypnosisCenter.com. Today's recording is to help you with angry thoughts. Anger is something that we all deal with, but sometimes we let it get the best of ourselves. Listen to this recording and allow you to have your anger in that spot it needs to stay. Here we go. Allow yourself to relax and sit back. Remember to be in a place, not your car or operating machinery, but in a place that's just for you, where you can sit back and relax, listen completely to my voice, and just take time for yourself right now. Imagine that if you would pull a blanket up over your body very slowly, it would feel the way this relaxation is going to feel. Begin by thinking about your feet and allowing all the muscles and tendons in your feet to just relax and go limp and comfortable. And pull that blanket of peace up to your ankles and your calves and thighs and hips, just letting them unwind and let go, just feeling at peace. This is your time right now. No one needs anything from you now. This is for you. And now feel that peace passing up to your stomach and digestive system, relaxing your chest, and then your shoulders, letting go of any tension you might be carrying in your shoulders and neck. And then allow that same relaxation to move up over your scalp, relaxing all the muscles in your face, and even the muscles that are deep within, the muscles and tendons around your sinuses, within your ear passages, around your jaw, allowing your jaw to go slack in a way that's comfortable for you. And now just let that same calm and peace move down from your shoulders to your upper arms, forearms, hands, and fingers. With each breath that you take in, breathe in the color of forgiveness. The color of forgiveness. You're breathing in with each inhale. And as you inhale the color of forgiveness, it mixes in your lungs with the oxygen and the blood, and it moves out, carried to every cell of your body, so each and every cell is filling up with the color of forgiveness. As we go down at 5, following your breathing, noticing its changing rhythm. At 4, getting that feeling of buoyancy. That feeling of buoyancy as if maybe you're floating on the ocean. You might be floating in the lake or in a pool. Or maybe, I can only imagine what it feels like to float on maybe a current of air or maybe a cloud. I wonder what it would feel like to float on a cloud. At 3, as you're filling your body through an inhale with the color of forgiveness, exhale the color of frustration. The color of frustration being exhaled, and as you notice the color of frustration leaving your body, there's more room for the color of forgiveness until you're filled with overflowing with forgiveness. And it flows out of you, and you absorb it back in from the soles of your feet. So now it's within you and without you, the color of forgiveness. And it passes through just like smoke through a veil. At 2, turning inward, completely inward into yourself, following the sound of my voice, with each and every word going deeper and deeper and even deeper. At 1, we're going down, 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 all the way down. And at 0, deep sleep. And now go twice as deep. And now 10 times as deep. And as you're feeling very relaxed and comfortable, give your muscles permission to memorize this feeling of comfort and relaxation so that you can come back to it again and again and again. So today I want you to just listen to the sound of my voice as I tell you a little story about Peter. And Peter was a young boy who was always picking fights at school. He was picking fights at school. He liked to fight. He was strong and he was big. What he noticed was maybe he thought he wasn't quite as smart as the other boys. He really was, but he just didn't believe it for some reason. But he knew that he was stronger. He knew he could fight better. And so whenever he had a fight with someone and he won, he knew he pretty much ruled the school. But at school, they didn't like that so much. And the teachers began to take notice, even though he tried to keep the fighting a secret. And soon he was getting notes sent home to his parents. And his parents were called in for a conference. Peter's having fights at school. Peter's being aggressive with the other children at school. When Peter doesn't get what he wants, he likes to fight. And we can't allow that at school. He has to be kinder to the other students. His parents were embarrassed by his behavior. They didn't want him to be a weak boy, but they didn't want him to be so aggressive either. They wanted him to be assertive and stand up for his rights. But it wasn't a good thing to pick fights or to beat other boys. Not unless there was, a life-threatening issue that someone was aggressive with him. His behavior was just getting out of control. And as they looked and they realized what was happening, they could see that he enjoyed the power of this. He enjoyed the power of his anger. He felt his anger could fill him up and make him strong and powerful, even if he felt weak in the classroom. And he thought that this was enough. Well, his parents didn't like it very well, and they had a talk with Peter, and he had some punishment. But in his mind, he still felt like he was right. He had to show his power, and he had to get angry to get really strong. And that was how he was powerful in his world. He thought he was right, so Peter decided that he would just be more careful about his fighting and keep it more secret. But one summer, Peter went to visit his aunt and uncle. And his aunt and uncle lived by a stream. And it was a really great stream. It was kind of wide, but not terribly deep. And what was really fun to do was they'd get big inner tubes filled with air, and they would just stroll out to the creek on their inner tube and then float all the way down, far down. And then they had someone who would wait on the other end with a car and pick them up and bring them back. And Peter was allowed to do this along with the family. But he didn't like waiting until Saturday or Sunday to float down the stream. And so one day he was allowed to go to the stream and splash around. And he went down and he hit his inner tube as he went. And he decided he was going to go down all by himself. And he was strong enough. He was a strong boy. He could walk back and no one would know the difference. So Peter got into the stream on his inner tube, and he began to float down the stream, going with the flow. And as he floated down the stream, he fell asleep because it was a sunny, warm, lazy day. It was so good to be in the inner tube floating along. And he was just going with the flow. And as Peter went with the flow, his whole body became loose and limp. It was just supported by the inner tube. And he flowed along. In some spots the stream flowed quite strongly, and he went along fast. But in most spots it was gentle, and it just rocked him along. And he just had a great little nap as he floated along. Problem was that as he floated along, he napped a little too long, and he overshot the spot where his aunt and uncle always stopped to get picked up by the car. And he didn't live here, so he didn't know the other places along the stream. So Peter just kept floating along, and suddenly he jerked awake, and he realized he didn't know where he was. And he realized from the sun that it was a little later than he thought he should have stopped. So he paddled to the shore, and he decided he'd better start walking back. He didn't really know where he was. He could tell he was on someone's land, but he didn't know where he was. And so he better start getting back. He was going to be late, he was going to be in trouble, and he needed to hustle along. So he picked up his inner tube, and he began following the stream. He knew if he followed the stream, he'd find his way home. So he followed, and he started out a really brisk walk, and he came to a place where there was a fence that blocked him. And inside the fence, everything looked nice and green. Maybe this was a pasture, he couldn't tell, or someone's yard or someone's land, for sure it was. But he would have to go into the stream and fight the current to get by. But he thought, I don't need to do that. This fence isn't that big a deal. I'll just throw my inner tube over, climb in, walk across the land, and skirt the fence on the other side, and I'll be right through. That'll be easy and quick for me. The easy and quick way seemed the way to go. But a man came running out as he was about halfway across the field, and the man had a big stick, and he was yelling at him, "Get off my land, get away." And Peter was afraid. This was a big man. He was used to fighting, but he was fighting boys. And Peter ran as fast as he could, and the man wasn't waiting to hear his explanation or apology. He just came running up, waving the stick. But Peter could run faster than him, so he ran to the other side of the fence. He threw his inner tube over, climbed over quick, and went running back upstream on his way. Phew, the man didn't chase him any further. He just looked angry and shook that stick at him. Peter was grateful to be away from that. Next time, maybe he just wouldn't take the quick and easy way. He would take his time and do it right. And he followed the stream up, and before long, he did come to the landing place that he recognized from being with his aunt and uncle. It was still quite a ways to walk, but he felt like he could do it, so he kept walking along beside the stream with the stream as his guide. He was getting hot and tired. For a while, he walked in the stream with his feet, so his feet could cool off, but it was pretty rocky there, and he didn't have shoes, so he preferred to come up in the soft moss in the grass. And as he walked along, he realized this walking upstream was hard work, especially with the inner tube, hard to carry, and he was tired and he was hungry. It'd been a while since he'd eaten and had a drink. He was always told not to drink from the stream. In fact, he didn't want to drink from the stream because, when he went down the stream, he peed in the stream when no one was watching. And so he figured other people did that too. He didn't want to drink from the stream. So he was getting tired and really hungry. And it seemed like a really hard thing to go against what his family and everyone had taught him about going upstream against the flow instead of going along with going with the flow, to go upstream and fight against it, seemed so hard and so useless. What was he thinking? Saturday was only a couple of days away, and then his whole family was going to come and they were going to float down the stream together. And it really was a lot of fun to go together. Everyone told jokes and splashed each other, and he really liked the time they spent together. And then they got a nice car ride at the end, and they usually stopped for ice cream. He could sure use an ice cream right about now. But he kept walking and kept walking. Now he knew from the sun it was really getting late. And he knew he was going to be in trouble, and he knew he should have paid more attention, and he should have gone with the flow of the family and the rules. Pretty soon, it took a little time, but he worked his way back to his aunt and uncle's part of the stream. And to his surprise, his aunt and uncle and his cousins were all out calling his name and looking for him. And he said, "Okay, I'll face the music now." And he called to them, let him know he was there. His aunt and uncle came up and hugged him. "We were so worried about you. Where were you?" "Oh, you went in the stream, didn't you?" They could tell that he'd been in the stream. He was sunburned and hot and hungry and dirty, and he had that big inner tube with him. And his uncle said, "Oh, give me this inner tube." And he said, "Oh, okay." And he hung his head. And his aunt said, "Please come in. We have dinner ready. Come have dinner. And I'm sure you're tired and thirsty." And he came in and they gave him lots to eat and drink. And they were asking him about his trip. And he told them, and he realized no one had been angry with him. And no one had said anything to him about breaking the rules. And as he finally ate and finished and felt a little better, his aunt and uncle said, "Do you think you can wait now until Saturday?" And he smiled at them and he said, "Yes, I can wait till Saturday. That's a lot better thing to do." And they said, "Good, because what we like to do is just go with the flow. Go with the flow." And Peter realized he liked to go with the flow also. Good. And as you're relaxing there, just allow my words to sink deeper into your mind. Give others permission to be as irritating, frustrating, and even causing of anger with you as they can be. Let them be ignorant and stupid even. But give yourself the gift of a new reaction, which is going with the flow, feeling peace and calm, and feeling a shield around you that lets all that stuff bounce off of you. There you go. Now it's time to come out. At 0, you slip a tad deeper. At 1, feeling your body where you're sitting. At 2, beginning to hear the sounds of life all around you, coming more into the room. At 3, take a deep, deep breath. At 4. At 4, become very alert. And 5, eyes open, wide awake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, eyes open, wide, wide awake. Thanks for joining me on this hypnotic journey. This is Angie Hernandez, certified hypnotherapist, wishing you a good evening.